try to be nice to you. Try to be nice to you.
I hope so.
Building on Monday, today, so I'm gonna say a rosary that's one. The same for sort of the big old part. Building on Thursday, Friday, and hopefully. Yeah. I don't know.
I know, yeah. I do. At least I didn't have to apologize for this one.
Yes,
I took a lot of flashing.
go on there.
You know you probably have nothing to do with that. I was joking, like,
We're not
I just had
afraid
more
of
people
it.
out the parade than supposed to.
They were all through the course of the day.
We're not afraid of it.
Exactly, yeah. Yep.
Bill Doherty.
Hey, Bill.
Hey, guys.
Chairs. That's never happened before.
Gotta expand this room. Knock your office off.
I'll sit up here by the important meeting.
I'm kind of serious. I was just telling you. I told her. I thought we should be here.
New business. Sorry.
It's like, get off.
So,
There.
Oh.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, everyone. We have a full house tonight, so glad everyone is here. Do we have any additions to or items to add or take away on the agenda tonight?
Mayor, I'd like to add under new business, item E, a facility use agreement with the Lennox School District.
Okay. So under new business, E, just an agreement with the Lennox School District. And then I'd like to also add under executive session tonight, just a personnel matter too. Any other additions to the agenda? Okay, is there a motion?
Motion to approve as amended.
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed,
Aye.
same sign. All right, motion does carry. The next item here is the mayoral proclamation. So we have a mayoral proclamation. We have a bunch of people here, like visitors for that. So I'm going to go ahead and read that, and then we'll be taking a picture here shortly too. So if your name is on here, I'm just going to mention some names, but please stand so we can see who you are. Marty Vales is here, okay. And then we also have Becky Hofer. Becky is here, thank you. Linda Reiners. Linda is not here. Tanya Reagan. Tanya is here. All right. Thank you. You guys can sit down. I'm going to read the proclamation. Nate, is there anything on your end that you need to share?
After the proclamation, if we could just get a photo of
Okay.
those that would like to.
All right. All right. Whereas Marty Bales, formerly Stake, a former resident of Lennox, worked to create the Lennox Old-Fashioned 4th of July celebration. And whereas the Altar Society at St. Magdalene Catholic Church worked to make the Lennox Old-Fashioned 4th of July celebration a reality. And whereas members Becky Hofer, Linda Reiners, and Tanya Reagan assisted Miss Vales in organizing the first Old-Fashioned 4th of July celebration. And whereas today's event draws families and crowds from the entire region. And whereas the 2024 Lennox Old-Fashioned 4th of July celebration is the 40th such celebration. Whereas over 10,000 people attended the event on a regular basis. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Danny Fergan, Mayor of Lennox, South Dakota, proclaim today Marty Bales Day. During this day, I encourage all residents to thank Marty Bales, Becky Hofer, Linda Reiners, and Tanya Reagan for their roles in creating what is today the biggest event in Lennox. Congratulations.
Come on up for a photo. More the merrier. It's your photo, so.
Here,
Just go
come
right
up
there.
there. Congratulations. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
All right, 1, 2, 3. I took a few more than 3, but.
All right. Yeah, thank you. Congratulations.
Okay. Yep.
All right. You just center over a little bit.
Wait. Diane. Maybe, but
Something
been
about being in
nicer.
front of the room, huh?
Been nicer to do, maybe. No, I wasn't even in town. Can you guys scooch together a little bit better?
How do you? You're just center over.
Put the flag on one end and that one on the next.
The beginning.
You can't get in there first.
Coming this way.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
All right. Thank you.
I was at the first meeting when Marty said, I have this wonderful idea. I think we should start an old-fashioned 4th of July. And those were her exact words.
Great job.
And she didn't say that that meant getting up at 4 in the morning and sitting out in the park getting it set up.
Did anybody get a piece of that big cake? Remember that?
Yeah, you guys are telling,
All right.
share that. That was a really interesting story.
And I remember with all the different games we played in the park, and it was the four of us, and we would go around and collect the money, and we went to Marty's house and put it in the dryer.
Everything was a quarter, everything was a quarter, the hot dogs, the game, everything. And if somebody brought in an idea to earn money, we'd let them, another church or whatnot. But if you made money, you had to donate a free game, the
Organized
frog jumping contest, the baby crawl, the Prince and Princess contest, cakewalks.
I thought of everything except collecting all the quarters. They were heavy. What do we do with these? Take them to my house. I lived in the little greenhouse there on what's that street? By
No,
at
it's
Elm.
not there anymore.
And would run over there and dump it out, and come back. And we made a lot of money. Lots.
And we made this cake, a flag cake, and they measured it very good, the measurements were good, but some of the people forgot to bring their cakes. So I worked for state construction, they called me and they said, Diane, can you get up and take off the rest of the day and go home and bake cakes? So I went to every store here in town and bought all their cake mixes, went home and made these white cakes, run them to the church so they could frost them, and every cake was a different size, and it looked like the flag was going like that. It was perfect. And then we put it on the back of it. They went to Cruzy's Lumber and got this great big piece of, on the back of an El Camino, a big plywood board. And we carried that cake, and then some of the men had to walk behind the El Camino holding the cake because it was way longer than the El Camino.
Well, thank you so much.
Okay.
I'm saying Tony's building it all.
Wow.
Tony's been building it. Like 2 years. Good times.
All right, on to the next section, visitors to be heard. So if you'd like to share, please step up to the podium, state your name and address, and give it 2 minutes, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Brett Wienia. I live at 401 South Main. I come to you tonight with a small concern and hopefully a suggestion as to the way we could remedy it. I've noticed a lot in Park Drive between Main and Elm that since there's two-way traffic and nowhere for people to walk, no sidewalks or anything, it's kind of an issue. I was wondering if we could maybe turn it to a one-way, traffic only going from Main to Elm, and put a pedestrian lane in on the other side. A lot of people like to walk through the park and we have no sidewalks in there. And I think that would be a good way to cut down on the amount of traffic through there, people speeding, and give people a safe place to walk.
I really appreciate your suggestion, and I think it's something we need to discuss with our law enforcement too and see what that looks like, but I agree that is a concern that I've had as well, walking through the park.
That's all I have.
Thanks, Brett.
Yeah, thanks, Brett. Any other visitors to be heard this evening? All right. Moving on to the consent agenda. We'll look for a motion to approve the consent agenda. Before we do though, are there any comments, questions, concerns that our council members would like to bring up for these reports and different items that they'd like to share before we approve or ask for motion?
Mayor and council, just a couple of notes on here. You've got seasonal positions. That's for the new summer recreation program, 3-week program we'll be starting this year. A new fire department roster with a new addition. We have a plat for the Icons Edition Track 2 with a recommendation from city engineer for approval, as well as preliminary plan for Security State Bank with a recommendation for approval from the city engineer. I might ask, since we don't do this very often, these preliminary plans, it might be worthwhile to have Mitch speak briefly on that.
Yeah, I have a couple questions on that.
Sure.
Mitch, could you come up and share with them?
Yep. And I guess I would start by offering that the owners are here tonight too, so they can certainly provide input into the plan. I guess what we have here tonight is a preliminary subdivision plan from Security State Bank. Security Edition is what they're proposing. They're in the the process here of needing to subdivide to be able to do their project. They're subdividing that property that they wanted to, I don't have it in front of me, but several different parcels there, with plans to build their bank on the parcel that you see in the packet. But for them to proceed with that, they have to go through what we call the preliminary plan process, which is your subdivision regulations that spell out the process there. So they provided a plan. Our office helped them with the plan. I reviewed in review capacity on your guys' behalf, and everything meets your standards, and that's why we recommended approval. This will allow them to move forward with the plat and to move forward with a building permit for the project.
Does this allow space for future development? If there's any other commercial properties that would come into this street, like compared to space with the school and the adjacency on the south side of the road to the school?
Yeah, they've got some land set aside, and they can speak a little bit more to what they might have planned for it. But there is some land to the south of the street that would be, that would be available to subdivide, and it's a little short. It's not real deep, so it might be limited maybe on what can go in there. But I don't know if you guys, John, if you want to speak to. Sure.
John, can you introduce yourself and then introduce your other staff members that are here too?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. John Baumiller with Security Bank, and I have with me Brian Zerpel. He offices in Chancellor. You probably know Brian. He's been around here a few years. Kyle Kadinger is our accountant. He offices in Sioux Falls with me. And we started this project a while back, talking to the Ringans about what they wanted to have happen with that. We've wanted to be in Lennox for quite a few years, and we just figured out we had to do it on our own, I guess. So we started looking for property. You know, we have the property bought by the grocery store, plus then we got together with Art and figured this out. So it's more property than we need for the bank. So what do we do? How do we do access? Well, we had an original idea to use the neighbor's driveway, and that fizzled. So we're just doing the basic cul-de-sac that you see in front of you. We hired an expensive engineering firm, an expensive architect, and they do very nice work. And so our plan is to sell the 2 lots to the south of the street for something that fits with the school and us, professional, ideally. You know, we're 8 to 5. We're going to have a community room hooked onto this, so nonprofits can access the property in our training room, community room, and that's going to be, you know, on right beside the main entrance. It'll be self-secured, so if we have boards that want to use it, they can roll in, and we'll have it all ready to go. So we want something that's going to complement us and the community from a business, I guess, park strategy. Attorney, accountant, bookkeeping, title, real estate, you know, you pick it. If it's professional, 8 to 5, we want to sell that off. Right now, we've just subdivided it to 3 lots, the bank, and then 2 lots on the south. And we're not really even to the point of how much we can fit in there, and how that would work, you know, because the street is eating up a little bit more than we thought, but it's our desire to, you know, get something in there and not just have it be storage or grass that we have to mow or whatever. So, yeah, can I answer any questions about what we're up to, or how's it going?
First, I appreciate you, John, for coming here this evening and your team. My question relates to tax revenue and community tax dollars when your headquarters is not here. Can you explain that to me?
Our charter's out of Tyndall, and this will be our corporate office.
Okay.
So we haven't made a determination if the charter gets moved, but the bank only pays a state tax, bank franchise tax, if you will. 4.5%, Kyle?
Approximately, yeah.
Yeah, so our earnings, 4.5% go to Christie, and then she gets to figure out what to do with it. Banks pay it, credit unions don't, farm credit does not. So that would be the only tax differential that happens. I don't think any of that money is back to Bon Homme County, Tyndall, South Dakota. So I don't think there's, I mean, I've been in this for 30 years, I've never been told, hey, the state sends money back to the county because of our bank franchise tax. So it's a little unique and kind of straightforward, really. That franchise tax covers regulators to come and watch that we're not cooking the books and all of that. So that's the only thing I'm aware of.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
A portion of the bank franchise tax from the state goes to counties and then is sub-distributed to municipalities, but it's not clear to me what that percentage is. And the state doesn't break that down by specific taxpayer.
So when you say it comes back to the county, does it specifically come back to Lincoln County or Bon Homme?
In this specific case, we wouldn't know. The state would not release that information specifically.
I've never been
But
sure.
there is money that comes back to the county and then is redistributed to each municipality. And I'm not sure if that's based on locations or population.
I mean, the unique thing about this community is all three banks are not domiciled here. Now, what I can tell you is this will be our corporate office. A logical step would be we move the charter here and get all of our mail delivered to Lennox, South Dakota versus some to Tyndall and some to here. Now, that bank has been in Tyndall since 1932. We're coming up on 100 years, and so we're trying to be cognizant of that legacy. We're not sure though, but this will be a combination of the retail team currently in Chancellor. We're going to keep Chancellor open, but the officers will be here with the admin, accounting, marketing, and so we figure there'll be 15, 17 people there.
And how many new positions will that create in our community?
5 for
It's
sure.
a good number for our size.
5 for sure. We will have a heavy emphasis on recruiting is whether you're going to live in Lennox or not. We have extra space to hire additional bankers to grow our business in Lennox and in T. And if we sprinkle into Sioux Falls, great, but we've been, this bank in Chancellor has been around since 1905-ish. And so, it's a county bank. Brian's worked there for a lot of years and, it's a county farm bank. And the reason we came to Lennox is because it's growing. And we feel like with the school and the city and the economic development and just the youth that are hanging around in this town, it's like, man, that is a no-brainer. Why didn't we do this 5 years ago? So I'm going to ask about the state franchise tax and how it gets distributed. I've never been asked that before, so that's kind of unique and very insightful. So if you know anybody in Pierre, just let them know I'm going to come at them because they're going to report back.
Sure.
It's never been disclosed to the bank CEOs where our bank franchise money goes. It's like this fund that they pay the examiners and then have a little left over for something. But I'm not aware how they distribute it.
We'll look into it. I'm sure we can talk to the auditor and get some more information.
Yeah, so we're excited about it. It's been a little work, but I think it's gone smoothly. We've told our architects and our engineers we don't want we don't wanna talk to anybody. We don't want variances, we just wanna build this on this site with no problems. We want this to fly. And so,
You have any issues with your engineer?
To be fair, Darren is their engineer.
no, of course, I mean, this is fairly straightforward, and, you know, Stockwell has represented us very well. I actually started with Stockwell, and we had an architect from Minneapolis. And the first thing John said to me was, dude, what are you doing? Get an architect in town here, and is the best advice he had. I mean, it's very good advice, because we switched to Architecture Incorporated. They've done a lot of schools and a lot of banks, and so that's worked very well. They've worked with Stockwell. And our general is Hugendorn out of Canton, and it was down to them and Pitts. And we went with Hugendorn because we feel like they fit us the best. And small company, but yet has a lot of horsepower. And we feel like, you know, we're gonna need a few, like, okay, how are we gonna figure this out conversations. And so, you know, they're right there. They're gonna be over here. I feel like they're gonna do a nice job of running the site, because, you know, we're gonna be building during the school year. That's a big concern of ours, is we don't want garbage flying around, and we want this place to look good under construction, because we got one shot to make an impression on you guys, and we don't want to stub our toe. Because we, you know, we want to be the bank of Lennox. And, I grew up in Parkston, we live in Sioux Falls. I don't know if we're moving to Lennox or not. I'm 50% of that equation. And so, first things first, we're gonna get this going, and when we recruit, we're gonna be highlighting, you know, now where do you live? Because we feel like this community is worth it for all of us to live in, and it'll sustain tenure if they live here. And who wouldn't want to send their kids to Lennox? Probably a lot of talking for you guys that want to get out of here. But it's one story, little basement underneath for storage. We got an elevator down. We didn't want to go 2 stories. We wanted to keep it simple. And we came up with this community room. I was telling Nate, I was telling the mayor that we copied this bank in Minot. They had this community room idea where they secured it, and anybody, a nonprofit basically, could use this as a meeting room. You know, you hit the code, go in, have your meeting, it times out, and you guys get a big city council meeting. You know, a lot of people want to be here, you need extra room, you just come on out. So we're excited about that, because we feel like that's going to connect us to the community even further than us being involved. So,
Thanks for sharing. Any other questions for John or Mitch?
Mitch, could you, I'm looking at the packet, I think it's on page 8, I see this. Is that right that after the cul-de-sac and the setback, that it's only 16 foot, that block 2 would be in depth? Is that accurate? I'm looking at the left-hand side of the PDF.
On what sheet are you on?
It's page 8, it looks like. I think it's on this, page 9 as well.
Oh. So there is you're talking about the very west end where the
Correct.
cul-de-sac is?
Yeah.
So there is I believe there was a thought about, so they had some discussions with the landowner to the west, as they described, because they were trying to come to an agreement on a shared access off the highway. When that kind of went by the wayside, I think the thought was this cul-de-sac maybe someday will extend west further
Okay.
to serve more ground that way.
yeah, it's,
You got over 100, if you look at page 4, if you're looking for the depth of those lots, you got over 100 feet there.
Okay, I was gonna say 16 foot, that's not much
Oh,
or anything.
yeah, that, the north-south dimension is that
104, and then,
Which still is a little narrow for
Okay,
commercial,
thank
but if
you.
it's
Sorry.
professional, you know,
yep,
uses that they're looking, I mean, they'll be able to fit something.
And, I mean, there would be no possibility that we could ever rezone it for residential, correct? Because that wouldn't be what we would want. I just want to make sure if we approve this, that's never a possibility.
I can't hold a future council's decision.
Sure.
I would certainly not recommend residential there.
Right.
Commercial or, you know, at the most dense, light industrial, but we've already got that across the street.
Mm-hmm.
I think commercial is what this corridor needs to look like.
Yeah, yeah, I agree, and that's why I was asking.
Right, any other questions specific to that or anything else on the consent agenda that you'd like to discuss?
What's your current timeline to have this completed?
12 months. So if we break ground by August 1st, we'll be moving in next August. So we're just finalizing the contract, final details for the street actually is what we're waiting on. And so Huguenot is ready to mobilize as soon as we sign off, and we just, basically it's administrative to sign off on it. And they're telling us 12 months. Get it enclosed by winter, and then, you know, landscaping and stuff next May and June. 10,000 square feet. So, you know, compared to Huguenot's other projects with schools, it's fairly small for them.
Any other discussion? All right, if not, I'll look for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second, we'll do roll call. Swear.
Aye.
Vendrell.
Aye.
Welch.
Aye.
Doherty.
Aye.
Mowers.
Aye.
And Bowers. I think he's on call.
I don't know, the same as joined.
No, I don't think Sam's joined. Okay, motion carries. All right. Thank you. And on to the next item, old business. Real estate purchase. Nate?
Mayor and council, we've been negotiating prices and terms on the two lots at the corner of South Main and 6th Avenue. Initially, we offered $45,000. That was countered with $56,500, which is $1,500 over the listing price, as well as the city covering all realtor fees instead of just our buyer's rep fees. On July 1st, I countered that counter offer, an offer of $50,000, and keeping the original terms. They again countered on July 1st, later that day, proposing a price of $55,000. I asked for additional time on that one so that we can get this in front of you. If you're agreeable to $55,000, we'll move forward with that purchase agreement.
I think it'd be worthwhile to have some discussion before, get some clarity before we ask for a motion.
So I know that we had discussed it'd be nice to have that property for future parking, and with its proximity to the pool right now, it kind of makes sense, but looking at the property, it looks like you're gonna need a retaining wall of some sort between the sidewalk and the, property itself. And of course, there's the house there, and that will, in the foreseeable future, I don't see that changing. So I'm just curious what the value of that is if they aren't wanting, they're wanting to negotiate, but not necessarily at what we want to negotiate at. Like, is it worth it to go over asking and?
You know, if you're going to look at this as a residential lot, with what lots are going for in Lennox right now, you're gonna get a fifth of an acre, which is slightly smaller than this, at about 50. Maybe a little bit higher. Now that's, all the grading is done, all the utilities are stubbed out and ready to roll, all the plats are done, there's no additional work needed except to put the house in. You know, and then add the final grade. There's certainly more work that's necessary here, but in terms of 50,000 versus 55,000, that's not a significant downfall in my opinion.
I was just curious, like, are we planning on taking action, right? Like, if we obtain the property, are we going to start work right away? Or are we going to wait to see if more property becomes available? I mean, what are the intentions after we obtain it?
I think we'd have to add it to our capital improvement plan initially, for this parking lot. I don't see that happening in the next year or even 2 years, but in the future, yeah, absolutely. And if it means that we should probably visit about a property next door, we can certainly do that as well. We just kind of let that property be, make their decision as they need to. We've had a discussion many years ago about acquiring it, but nothing in the past, I'd say 4 years.
I remember the original discussion, and it fit into the master park plan
Right.
nicely, and that was prior to this pool being built, and it was, you know, it would have been a nice property. The house is there now, but all of those lots together, being able to, not just for parking lot use, but to expand the pool or the pool house if needed in the future. But I am with Warren on this, as, you know, what are we paying for a parking lot that, I know we do need more parking, but is it worth $55,000? I'm a little off put by the fact that the counter was for more than the original ask price.
They must have been offended by our,
But,
has there been any discussion with El Mariachi as far as, I mean, right now, every time I go there, I park in the school parking lot.
yeah,
Are
you
you
know-
renting from?
They do have a lease on the city's lot.
You know, is there any, I guess, benefit to them if that was a parking lot?
I'm sure there'd be benefit to anything nearby, including El Mariachi and the school. Baseball parks, you know, whatever else. Everybody nearby would certainly benefit.
Yeah, because I was thinking that too, when I first saw it come up, before we even had it on the agenda, I thought that would be great for El Mariachi to purchase and do just that with, create a parking lot, especially knowing that they're using the school lot and the pool, you know, they're,
And it doesn't worry me to hold on to it for a few years and see if that interest sustains. You know, if, you know, El Mariachi is still only a few months old.
right.
If they want to be more cemented in the community before they make that decision.
How many spots, how many parking spots could you get in those?
Mitch, do you remember how many we did in pool parking lot? Maybe 20?
Yeah.
A little over 20?
Somewhere around there, it'd be about,
This will be 1/4 acre. Yeah, so this will be slightly smaller than where the pool parking lot is, so maybe 20-ish. It all depends on how much Mitch can squeeze in there, you know, these 2 years.
Don't want them too close together.
yeah,
Jordans.
I mean, you could probably eliminate some islands and keep some more space that way. Retaining wall would probably be necessary.
I know that ground sits up, but we would probably cut it down.
Because they either cut
we
it down or
could.
you have to build
Yeah,
it.
we'd re-agree to enough that hopefully we can avoid a wall there.
The house to the south is right up against that property line as well. If there's a setback, I'm surprised.
is there any?
I think acquiring the lots gives us the flexibility going forward with how we want to handle that property, whether that's a future sale to the owners of El Mariachi, or if it's a part of our park plan as other land may become available. It gives us the control over the situation as opposed to the regret of not taking action when it was available.
Yeah, one thing I am concerned about is what will be put there, because it's zone residential now, correct?
Multifamily, yeah.
Okay, so if we I think about driving down Main Street and you can see the pool, I just like that there's, right now, I am with Bill on that piece of it where we can, control what's gonna go there. And it's not gonna be not that I don't want multifamily housing here, because I do, but, that maybe isn't the best space for that, so.
Yeah, and I mean, we've gone over the dimensions of the lot with the listing agent, and it's not impossible to fit like a twin home or maybe in a fourplex in there. But it's tough, especially with it being on the corner and being not very deep. So access is one of the bigger concerns, so.
So we're talking about a difference of 5,000 from your original offer, so.
Or paying 15,000 next time it comes up for sale, so.
What do you need for a motion here? Just approval of moving forward at.
You didn't have a recommendation here, Dave.
I don't.
That's what I'm looking at here. So I will make a motion to move forward on a purchase agreement for a price of $55,000.
I'll second.
May I clarify, is that splitting realtors' fees? We pay ours, they pay theirs.
Was that in
That should be in the original terms, but it's not spelled out specifically. It says all terms and conditions to remain the same.
Yes, we pay ours, they pay theirs.
Okay.
And I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for Nate to move forward with a price of $55,000 and to split realtor fees. Is that correct?
Yeah, and splitting, closing, all those things, title fees, that's already part of it as well, so.
Okay. Do we need roll call for this?
We're not spending the money yet, right?
No.
Okay. All right, we'll go ahead and vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. All right, and motion does carry. And that's for the old business. Now moving on to new business. Central Basin 4 project pay application number 12.
Okay, tonight you have in your packet, pay application number 12 for Central Basin Phase 4 with Asphalt Surfacing Company. Just to review, right now, just starting at the top of the sheet, they have current contract price is at about $8 million. Total working place is about $6.7 million, so they are nearing kind of the end of the project here. They've got one more phase left to construct. We're continuing to withhold and retain 5.9%, which equates to $400,000. And we subtract everything out, we're recommending a payment of $400,945.96. This gets them paid up to date, up to June 21st, what they have in place. Any questions?
Any questions for Mitch on that or anything? If not, go ahead and look for a motion to approve.
Motion we approve pay application number 12 for Central Basin 4.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second for Central Basin number 4, project pay application number 12. We'll do roll call for this. Doherty.
Aye.
Bowers. Not here. Van Drill.
Aye.
Mauer.
Aye.
Welch.
Aye.
Swear.
Aye.
And motion does carry. Thank you. On to the next item B, Meadows Drainage Project pay application number 2.
So this is the contract with Parkway Construction. You can see again on the right side, we have a current contract price of $243,310. They roughly have about half of that work in place as of 21st of June. We're retaining 10% on the contract, which equates to $10,400. And so with all the deductions there, we're recommending a payment of $65,263.77. I will say this project right now is behind schedule. We talked about that a little bit at the last meeting. Their completion date was June 24th, so when we come and present the next pay application, we will start assessing liquidated damages to their contract. And you'll see that on the cover here when those come forward in the future.
Any questions or clarifications on that from council? Okay, if not, we'll look for a motion to approve pay application number 2.
Motion we approve pay application number 2 for Meadows Drainage Project.
Second.
Yep, motion and a second for Meadows Drainage Project pay application number 2. Roll call for this as well. Van Drill,
Aye.
Mauer,
Abstain.
Welch,
Aye.
Swear,
Aye.
Bowers, here, Doherty,
Aye.
and motion does carry. Thanks, Mitch. On to C, Resolution 2024-7801, amended schedule of rates and fees. Nate?
Mayor and council, this resolution comes at the end of our utility rate study. It was completed by HDR, our hired consultant. And this will, the rates contained herein will meet the recommendations contained in that rate study. One thing to know is that we're implementing the 2024 proposed rates in 2025. That should not impact future rates much, if at all, as future CIP projects have been delayed by a year, so it really shouldn't change much, other than the fact that projects will probably become a bit more expensive. Delaying until January of 2025 should allow staff plenty of time to establish the new rates in our accounting software, test that system, as well as allow us additional time to make residents and businesses aware of those new rates. I'll probably have an upcoming news article and include that in the newsletter. As requested, HDR did provide a combined water and sewer rate comparison to other local communities, and that's provided in your memo. I recommend a motion to approve.
Thank you. Any discussion on this?
I appreciate that comparison, because I know I've heard a lot of people say that Harrisburg is really high, so it's good to see that we're really close to them and other surrounding communities, and knowing what happened in Canton and looking at their $85 a month and ours, you can definitely tell that our infrastructure is better, and that's why we pay more for it. So appreciate that part of the study.
Yeah, just interesting to see which communities are up above that $120 mark that join us up there. Harrisburg, Parker, Brandon is just about there, and then Chancellor. Some of these are communities that have taken a very proactive look at their infrastructure over the last few years. Chancellor in particular, and they got a lot of grants. I think most of their project was grant funded over the last 3 years. But that's still a lot to take on for a town that size.
So then are we only committing to the 2025 rates, and then every year we're gonna
25.
reassess?
Yeah, yeah. So if nothing were to change, the 25 rates would be 26. We know project costs change,
Right.
so we'll adjust that every year with
Well, I
that.
remember their recommendation was to step it up over like 5 years
Yeah.
to build that reserve, but that's something we'll review every year.
Correct.
So when you say we will
That's required with
reassess,
the new policies that we put in place.
when we will review every year, you're referring to just this council rate, the utility rate study is complete now for, it's supposed to extend for 5 years, correct, that information?
Yes, I guess the best way to look at it is that every year we'll have a sort of mini study that looks at, are we still on track? Are we meeting our reserves? Are we on track to meet our reserves, our capital improvement plan?
And
so on
that's an
so forth.
internal mini study,
Correct.
okay.
That's that, they share that spreadsheet with us. That's what we use to then each year look at.
Motion to approve resolution 2024-07-0801, amended schedule of rates and fees.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other further discussion on this matter? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. All right, and motion does carry. On to item D, Park Board appointment. The Lennox Park Board, the Park and Rec Board received resignation last time we met of Kelly Garden, and the council accepted her resignation. I would like to ask for a motion to approve the appointment of Jesse Larson to the Lennox Park and Rec Board.
So moved.
Second.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I spoke with Mr. Larson a few days ago, and he's excited for this appointment, so I think it'll be a good
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And appointment motion does carry, appointing Jesse Larson to the Lennox Park and Rec Board. Congratulations, Jesse, and excited to have you part of this board. And then, in addition, Lennox School District usage application. Nate.
Mayor and council, my apologies, this came to me late today. It's an agreement that we are being asked to sign for the school district for possible backup use for our summer recreation program. If we have weather concerns or anything like that, we wanted a backup location we could use. Since it came to me late today, I don't have city attorney's view on it yet, although I do believe we've looked at this before. I know we've signed agreements with the school on facility use, but I don't think this was a specific one. So I'd like to ask approval pending city attorney review.
Can you clarify how this would work for the school district with scheduling usage of their facilities, as far as would our rec director just request access or to coach it? I'm just curious how that works.
I think our recreation manager would need to request access based on, if there's a weather concern for that day. Some of our programs may actually be provided there, with, a music portion may be best provided in the intermediate music room, for example. So it sounds like we may have some volunteers like Mrs. Lang or Mr. Youngquist that would be available to provide that, so it just makes sense.
I motion we approve the facility use agreement with Lennox School District pending attorney review.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the Lennox usage application pending the attorney review. Do we need roll call for this?
No.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. All right, motion does carry. And that's it for new business. 6 personnel, there's nothing under that. And then executive session, I asked if there would be someone to move a motion to move for personnel matter that we can discuss.
Motion we move into executive session for personnel.
Second.
Right, motion is second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. All right, and this is at 7:49 PM. Executive session.